Rennie Good was a gifted soul, a writer and a poet and a mother, wow. She tried to hit an agent with her car, oh no! Pop motherfucker, now she's gone! Yeah! Being a fucking liberal is a mental disease. Blue-haired unfuckables with the septum ring. You are not a hero, you're a fucking disease! You fuck around and find out it's what it is! Homo started talking shit to protect a chomo. He was getting nicked when he pulled a gun. Bam, motherfucker, now you're gone. Yeah. Being a fucking liberal is a mental disease. Blue-haired unfuckables with a septum ring. You are not a hero, you're a fucking disease. Fuck around and find out what that is.
Hey guys, welcome to the program. We're going to talk about slimy stuff. Yeah, Clinton stuff, Hillary stuff. Share the program. You know, Hillary Clinton testified, right? And I know you were hoping it was FAFO, but she testified regarding her knowledge and understanding of Epstein Island, what it was, etc. That's what we're going to be talking about. So make sure you share this. By the way, today's program is brought to you by the fine folks at Goldco. We got a site. We did it with Goldco, our fine partners, folks. Go to jovanlovesgold.com. jovanlovesgold.com. Please request your free gold and silver kit today, because now is the time to protect your gold and silver. By you guys just got to feed your brain, folks. Request your free gold and silver kit, because I'm telling you, maybe you do pay attention, maybe you don't pay attention. Something's coming, and when they do the flip to digital, there's a very distinct possibility they're going to muck with everybody's money, and everybody's going to take a collective discount. And you won't be able to do anything about it. I did a program, I showed you before, where the government's done this before. So, folks, doesn't take anything to do except, open a browser, a second browser right now, and just put in the web, just so you remember, put in your information and get it. Okay, rumble this, share this, give me the finger, tickle me a little bit, wiggle those fingers, get it out there and share it, because we're going to be talking about Hillary, and her testimony. And it's important testimony. It was typical. I did not have sexual relations with the guy who did not have sexual relations with that intern, who is also a friend of the guy who did not have sexual relations with all those kids. Otherwise, I don't recall. Folks, let's get going. 2 minutes. Let's get started.
Not fixing 2020 will damn our nation forever. The historic Maricopa County full forensic audit effort processed 20,895,610 digital and forensic images of varying formats, resulted in 208 million individual evidence-proof files. The system processed over 58 billion forensic measurements, resulting in over 2 trillion individual base computations. No hopium, no hype, just hardcore forensic evidence. Please make sure the Maricopa County Full Forensic Audit Archives survive. Donate now. So if you want what happened in the 2020 election fixed, then please donate to protect and secure this historic evidence. We can't do it without you. We need you. America needs you.
Warning. The following program has been rated Dilligaff and is intended for open-minded audiences. If the truth offends you, or if you are allergic to focused intensity, intellectual athleticism, or the occasional F-bomb or even irreverent humor, please switch off now. If your delicate sensibilities need to be worried about or addressed, might we recommend the Underwater Basket Weaving channel to you? Otherwise, sit back, enjoy the wisdom, insight, and wicked sense of humor.
Cut the crap. How many times a day do you want to say that to politicians, the elite, the loony liberals, the fake news media, and the gender-confused, emotional socialist snowflake crowd? Cut the crap is your secret weapon for fighting for our freedoms and our great republic. It all begins with a massive mental enema, freeing you from the toxic news and politically correct views, which constipate your consciousness with stinking thinking. Your host, Jovan Hutton Pulitzer. He's known for calling out politicians and telling them to cut the crap. You've seen him on virtually every television network and listened to him on Coast to Coast Radio. And now he's here to help you learn to fight for America. Culture, race, and American politics. They all have one thing in common. They all need to cut the crap. Now, here's your host, Jovan Hutton Pulitzer.
Okay, so we're going to talk about Hillary Clinton. And I know some of you saying, I wouldn't worry about Bill and Hillary rather than ballot fudging and continuing, right? Unabated. It's true. It's true. Okay? And some of you are saying, well, I'm glad this hag never became president. Boy, could you imagine if that happened? There was a time I would have said I would have taken Hillary over others. I had said I would have taken Hillary over Obama. Right? But here we are. It's what we're dealing with today. So the Clintons were compelled to testify regarding Jeffrey Epstein and what they knew. The very first time they were scheduled for these depositions, inquiries, whatever you want to call it, they just didn't bother to show up. Then even the left got pissed off. And so the left, ironically, recently sided with the right and basically threatened and said, well, ignore it again, you're going to jail. Basically, I'm shortcutting the words, but the procedures did it. And so some of the Democrats sided with it and the Clintons had to do it. It's that simple. The protection was gone. And so Hillary showed up first. Bill comes second. By the way, just a reference. Sorry, apologize yesterday, unannounced. I was not here. I got called up, let's just say, to the Northern Virginia. Had to get up there right away. It was a very, very long day. Had an opportunity. And so I had to get up there. Got back late. Was just zonked. That's the way it is. Sorry that I apologize. There being, a little bit of interruption in the broadcast. But Bill's basically sitting in the hot seat, we'll proverbially say right now. The question is, are we ever going to get any information about what really happened? So the first thing I want to ask you is, not are we going to get justice? I think that's kind of overplayed, right? Even if Bill Clinton went to Epstein Island and did all the diddling, and let's just say he was locked up, would that be technically justice? Would anything be fixed? Would anything stop? Would anything fix this at all? No. And so here's the question I have for you. Okay, they're sitting in the hot seat. Do you think we're going to learn anything, or is this just performance art? Put it in chat. Do you think we're actually going to learn something, or is this performance art? Now, Kelsey says it's nutting. I've heard there's videos of Bill on Epstein Islands, possibly nutting. I don't have those videos. If you have nutting, I mean, you've changed the subject on me. If you've got evidence of nutting, let's see it. But I'm asking, is there going to be prosecution, or is it performance? And I think everybody overwhelmingly is saying performance. Now, let me ask you a question. Why bother? Why is this system bothering to do this performance art? Why is the system bothering to do this performance art? Can you think of any logical conclusion? Yeah, it's a waste of time. Yes, it's a distraction. But what would they be distracting from? Right? Yes, maybe some people are looking for a gotcha moment. It's not about elections. There you go. But what is it? What is really going on? Why does the system do this? And I agree, it's just to make voters, populace, citizens think, okay, that your lawmakers really do something. But does any of this ever really do anything? Just a question, only because maybe I'm having a brain fart, but just a question. Have there been any hearings of these types, anytime, inquiries or whatever, any that you know of that you can say resulted in a bombshell, an incarceration, a conviction, incarceration, and a fix? Are there any? Anywhere in time? I'm racking my brain to try to think about that. Here's where I am. We're going to do this inquiry. The inquiry found this bombshell. Oh, we're going to indict. Oh, they're going to go to prison. Oh, we're going to fix this. Are there any that you can think of? Any in your mind? Am I just not thinking right? Am I just clouded? Are there any in your memory? Any in your memory? I don't recall. I just don't recall. So the question is, at this level of our government, what is this then, other than theater? So the question is, if we know it's theater, why even talk about it? But it keeps the people aware. Yeah. Aware of what? Aware that not a freaking doo-doo-dah is going to happen. Now, people say the victims hold the key. Do they? Let's look at the victim's path. The victim comes forward. Who does the victim come forward to? Just a question. Have you ever thought about that? Who does it in something like this? Epstein diddled me in an airplane when I was 8 kind of thing. Where does the victims come forward? Well, it's obvious at the front of the plane. No. Where does a victim come forward? Do they call the local police department? Local police department, if they decide to escalate it, going to escalate it to the state FBI. State FBI is going to maybe escalate it to the national FBI. They may say, get an attorney. Okay, so they get an attorney. The attorney is going to say, hey, maybe you can get some money out of this. But with money, is going to come a settlement that says you can't talk about this. So money isn't justice and is never going to get justice. So who actually do you come out to if this happened to you? How do you report it? Do you just spontaneously say, one day you're a victim, do you just spontaneously say, I was a sandwich between Epstein and Bill Clinton? and the news has you everywhere? You just post it on your social media? I was an Epstein Clinton sandwich. Come on, think through this. What do? Do you just post it on social media? Do you just all of a sudden get on ABC News? Well, social media, you're not going to get any traction unless you got a big account. You probably don't have a big account. The left's not going to listen to you. And so you might find a big account on the right, but that big account talks about UFOs and reptilian people, but that's the only one you can get on. They cover it because it's good entertainment, but now you've taken this traumatic thing in your life and if you associate it with UFOs and fucking reptilians, which are never going to be taken seriously, you fucked your own case. You go to the media, let's say you get somebody really good in your local Albuquerque, New Mexico station, and they run it up the flagpole, right? And it goes through different levels. Most people don't know this. You know, an ABC affiliate, and I'm just using this for shits and giggles, Albuquerque, the call doesn't go to ABC. The call goes to somebody who owns those non-O&Os. Right? Not owned and operated one. So it goes to somebody like Belo. Belo's in Dallas, Texas. They're the people that sold you the Kennedy story for assassination. They have those newscasters. They only have a right to use the ABC license. So really, it doesn't go to ABC. It's going to go to somebody like Belo Corporation, which is Dallas Morning News. They're going to decide, is it worthy or not? How many of them ever really get escalated? See, that's my question. If you are legitimately a victim, is there a victim's path? See, I see the same obstacles legally with BS lawmakers. You got the same obstacles if you really have a truthful story to tell. The system decides if it's going to get out or not. You might clip away at it for years, knock, years. Maybe you get some traction. Maybe you get lucky. Somebody pays attention. Or your other alternative is to go with I'm a lumberjack, Taco Bell former professor flipper, and we're a reptilian society. And to tell you it's reptilians, they like kids. And remember, it's reptiles with 7 rays of light in their head that wear red shoes. And we found a kid that was diddled by somebody, although we don't have pictures of them as they're in their reptilian form with their 7 rays of light and red shoes, but you all know that Bill Clinton's a reptilian and so is Epstein. And so we have a whistleblower on today. Breaking. And see, so there's the bad path, and even maybe if you get a little bit of a good attorney or whatever, all that's going to happen is they're going to write a check. And in order to get that check, you're going to shut the hell up. See, most people never just think about the linear process of going through it all. The linear process of going through it all. It's wild when you really think about it. Now, when you think about it, you understand, ready? Exactly why it can be so prevalent and so underreported. Because the full system enables it. And maybe for every 100 real people that got diddled this horrible way, you're going to have 2 or 3 in that mix that just think they can get some payoff. And it was daddy diddling them, and daddy still diddles them. It says, hey, man, go make my money. Say, tell them I was a Jewish fellow. I kind of look like Bill Clinton. Don't I got a cigar? Put on a blue dress. You follow what I'm saying? This whole system, how everything works with humankind and all of it, isn't built on transparency, isn't built on honesty. and doesn't reward transparency or honesty. So I just want you to understand that. I told you long ago, I don't give a shit about the Epstein files. And for those of you who might not have been with my broadcast for a long time, as a 10-year-old, I had to endure being sexually molested in every way possible by a male and female in the 5th grade every day of my 5th grade, except maybe 4 days. So don't say I'm insensitive. This horrible one about pedophiles and how they prey on kids and what happens in the circumstances created, unfortunately, I know all too intimately. So the question is, for things like this, how do we really get justice for any sense of this? And so you got to start peeling it back. You got to start peeling it back. You got to start peeling it back. And in reality, it takes a nation waking up, deciding that the moral ethic is the best ethic, deciding that morality is absolute, right? Deciding that morality is absolute, and deciding that from anything that makes our system function, which all has to do with our elections, that we fix our elections. Now, let me give you another side of me, wildly controversial, but another way to look at this, right? We have, as humans and Americans and children of God, we have incredible God-given individual freedoms. Would you agree that we have incredible God-given individual freedoms? Yes or no? Yes. Now, the key word in there was individual freedoms. Here's what a lot of people won't like. If somebody decides to be a Catholic and you're a Baptist, let me point something out. It's none of your fucking business. You have no authority. You have no say. And interestingly enough, you can't pass judgment. And that's a double entendre. You can't pass judgment on them. And if judgment was placed on you, you can't pass judgment. If an adult in an adult relationship in their marriage and they decide to go put the car keys in the little blue bowl for the nightly Friday night party, and you grab the car keys and whoever's keys they are, that's who you go off with. Remember those stuff from like the 60s or 70s everybody talked about? Well, guess what? You don't have a fucking say. If somebody's a Democrat and they're an extreme liberal, and you're an extreme conservative, and you look at that extreme Democrat, you know what? I want you to understand something. You don't have a fucking say. Weird, isn't it? See, we can't even get for ourselves as conservatives freedom if we can't even give it. If we can't even acknowledge that we have free will and our freedoms are individual rights, we're done. Because where it gets messy is everybody deciding they can decide for everybody else. And most conservatives are no better. So all of us inadvertently in society have been trained to point fingers, to judge, and to condemn, to whatever. And when you really look at it, when you really look at it, we have no say. And so therefore what happens is we get pushed around like political pawns because they get these kids out on the street protesting Trump as a Nazi. They don't know what they're talking about, but they're being used as pawns telling the rest of the world how it should live, right? Exactly. Now, let's address this. Gail says, I'm with Jovan. I don't give a shit about the dead man and his operation at the point. It is still operating without him. That's what you have to understand. Blaming others is not fixing a thing. However, if you understand others, and if you understand how the system does it to you, then you can push back in a way that moves the needle. And typically that way is education, knowledge, and leading by example. Not pointing it out, just understanding how it works. The reason I did that setup is everybody can get all indignant, pissed, upset, mean, punchy regarding Epstein. But if you do that, you understand that man got paid well to be the tip of the spear. So you're actually getting pissed at what he got paid to do willingly. And he did willingly. But see, the system does that because they're going to give you someone to focus on, somebody to hate, somebody to get pissed off about as cover for the rest. And so you focus on the one, it's just as that motherfucker's dead. It changed nothing. So in my particular brand of teaching, I want you to understand Satan will always give you people to hate. Satan will always give you people to love. It's the name of the game. And that's exactly what they want you to do. They want you to identify people to hate, like Soros. You hated the fuck out of Soros. Now, I told you for years, if you've been with me, it ain't about Soros. Soros is a fucking puppet. What do you find when we finally get into USAID? It was our money routed to Soros and then opportunity and connections that allowed him to take our money, multiply it, turn it into bigger money, and do bad things. You fucking paid for it. Are you pissed at yourself? You should be. See, because since you didn't know how the system does it to you, you didn't know how to stop it. But what you did is you hated really well. You pointed fingers really well. If we just get Soros out of this country, well, and I'll finish that statement for you. How would you, if we just get, finish a statement for me. If we just get Soros out of this country, it will result in, finish the sentence. If we just get Soros out of this country, it will get what? No, it doesn't get nothing. It gets something. If we just get Soros out of this country, it in fact gets Soros out of this country. But see, that's the physicality of the person. If you don't understand the operations of the person, they're different than the physicality of the person. So you shut down the operations. Shut down the operations will just be another one to replace them. See, learning and knowledge is about understanding how they do it to us so we can put a hole in it and defend against it. So I'm just using that as a setup for the moral of the story today when we're going to talk about Hillary Clinton. And I did it kind of as a joke, right? When I did the little cover for the program today, right? I did not have sexual relations with the guy who did not have sexual relations with that intern, who is also a friend of the guy who did not have sexual relations with all those kids. And otherwise, I don't recall. Now, that is the total summation right there. You might not see it at first, but I'm going to explain it. Because something exceptionally important happened legally. The public doesn't know it, but the system knows it. And it is the most profound acknowledgement of guilt with Hillary sitting down. But if you don't know how it works and you don't know what was really done and what was really said, you can't see through it. So that's what I'm going to teach you. Now I'm going to play you just a few little ditties about people talking about this.
Is over hours from now, but the Associated Press is reporting Hillary Clinton in testimony says, and she's under oath, she has no information on Epstein's criminal activities and never recalls meeting him. Jason.
That may be true, but I think the question is, what about the money? I think what you're going to see from this, again, no allegation of necessarily breaking the law, but what about the money? I think the money trail is the primary question, or one of the questions that the Clintons are going to ask. Hillary Clinton's going to be asked. Donations that went into the Clinton Initiative. What about the Global Foundation? And what were the introductions? Because the soft power of having a former Secretary of State or having a First Lady making introductions, opening doors, there are going to be a lot of questions about that.
Okay, that's one. Here's another.
The Oversight Committee you sit on has released these photos of Bill Clinton with all of these women on Epstein Island. Did anyone show those photos to the former First Lady and ask her if that indeed is her husband?
Yes. So the secretary was shown photos of former President Bill Clinton with photos that were released in the Epstein files. And she did admit that it was her husband, but she could not admit where they were, when they were taken, who they were taken with, and why they were taken, and what he was doing with those women. So it was very difficult to actually get any truth from her. But we did hear from Mrs. Clinton regularly that the committee should ask her husband these questions if we want answers. And so we are going to be asking Bill Clinton questions tomorrow and see if he can recall why he was in hot tubs with these young girls and receiving massages from women, and what exactly he was doing all those times on the Lolita Express and on Jeffrey Epstein's island. Since Hillary Clinton could not recall the conversations that she personally had with her husband once she learned about these images, we are going to take it directly to Bill Clinton himself tomorrow.
Just a question from that clip. I want you to answer it honestly. What was Bill Clinton? So Boebert said, we're going to get him an answer. What were you doing in a hot tub with those young women? What were you doing in a hot tub with the little girls? What were you doing in a hot tub with girls, little children? Surrounded by Zombies has a really good answer. He or she says, I think, floating. Montana Finn's got it right, soaking. Dangling. Listening to the bubbles. Hanging out with everybody. Which crime got broke? He'll say he don't recall, but hang on. Now, Henry, we know he probably peed, but which one's the crime? You understand everybody's morally outraged. and they will serve you shit that will keep you morally outraged. But not a fucking thing, right? There's a crime. I'm not defending him. I want you to understand the words. I want you to understand the words. I want you to understand what's going on. And so they'll keep you, the system will keep you in this moral freaking rage zone when they live. That's a good one. Waiting for the Viagra to kick in, waiting for that snorkel to say, let's go. But are any of those a crime? Because they ask the next question. Did you have sex with that woman? No. That child? No. I didn't know the child. I don't even know who they are. Hell, I don't even know who took the photo. This is where you've got to get really focused about this system. Have you ever asked yourself, how do these photos ever get leaked if they were diddling kids in secret? So you never ask yourself that. You never ask yourself the logical question. How do you even have photos of someone sitting with a young girl? How do you even have them? Who was on the Lolita Express? Who was there at the hot tub taking photos? But the main question is, why do we have them? Nobody ever thinks about that. You don't have somebody coming forward and saying, Your Honor, here is my mobile phone. This is my contract from Verizon. You can see my SSID. Here it is. Here's the metadata for this photo. Here is this photo. Here's where I took it. I am blowing the whistle. Everything I just told you about that photo is detectable. So why do we even have the photos? Somebody says, well, because it happened is why they leaked. Wrong. Blackmail's close, but that's not it. Distraction's it. You don't even see the system. All of this is orchestrated. Let me just give you a thing. I'm going to be brutal. So plug your ears if you can't take brutality. You're on a plane with a bunch of dudes. You got a bunch of little kids. You're going to fuck them all, kill them, dumping them in the ocean. Who's taking photos? If that's really your game plan, who's taking photos? Not a fucking person. If it's really an operation, not a fucking one. And if somebody did, they're going out of the back of the plane too. But see, people just can't think around it. So what's really the operation here? What's really the operation here, folks? It's all psychological fucking warfare. All of it. There is a leaked photo because the fucking system wanted to leak a photo. Which, by the way, directly relates to Hillary Clinton testifying behind closed doors the other day. Right? Hillary and her team are testifying. No cameras, no videos. Right? No cameras, no videos. Somehow a photo gets leaked on social media by Benny Johnson. The system goes batshit crazy. Hillary and her team abruptly stopped the interview because they have the right. They have the right under the rules of the investigation. No photos, no videos. No photos, no videos. But one gets released. Benny Johnson released it. He's got the exclusive, got his logo all over it. It's me, it's me, it's me, it's me, it's me, it's me, it's me. And then where does it come from? Well, when you back off the photo, you see it's Lauren Boebert. It was Lauren Boebert that bid it. That's not thanks, Benny. Hang on, ready? That's not thanks, Benny. Boebert took the photo. So now let's analyze that. Don't you understand? Boebert has no fucking integrity. If the rules of the chamber are no photos and no videos, and they don't release who's there, but she took a photo and released it, don't you understand? Don't you understand? That person doesn't play by the rules. So what really resulted as a result of that photo? Hillary and team got to stop the questioning legally. So now if you were really had your snap to you, I want to know what was fucking asked when they used it. Legally, the Clintons didn't show up, had to be pressed. They get pushed in there, and somebody breaks the rules of the chambers, which in fact, they could have pushed to the extent we no longer have to testify. You broke the rules. All that happened is it made the Republicans look dishonest, and they have no ethics. That is by fucking design. Yay! We got a picture of Hillary. Boebert did it. You're a fucking hero. No, you're not. They literally gave Hillary and legal team the excuse to stop. What we don't know is how long was that stop. What we don't know was what was asked immediately when did they deal the card? Because it had to get out, uploaded to Benny. Benny had to take it. Benny had to put his fucking logo all over it, put it out. It had to get traction and then go. She's not an idiot. That was by design. See, you excuse this shit away. It was a boo-boo. It was a boo-boo. It was a boo-boo. Everything's designed to be a boo-boo. Stop it. Fucking stop it. And we're all here saying the fucking Dems don't play by the rules, don't uphold the fucking standards, bitching our fucking asses off when the fucking Republicans don't play by the rules, don't hold by the standards, but yet we give ourselves a pass. And the only ones that look like bad guys in this scenario are the fucking Republicans. Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained? Oh, by the way, get ready. Get ready. You ready for this shit? The rules are no photos and no video recordings. What does Boebert and Benny say in the release of the photo? We got the full video recording. It's coming next. Let me tell you what that is. That is the ticket that allows Clinton and team to say, hey, we agreed on no video. Now we know it's broken. Therefore, you're going to abide by this rule or you're going to be damaged, our own country, and you have to do an agreement. They'll never be released. Don't you fucking understand the game that just got played? Don't you understand this shit? All of it. Video, audio, and photos. There wasn't anything leaked. You watch an operation being played that made sure nothing comes out. That's all you saw. And you're fucking beating your chest for the fucking Republicans. What's a hero? That's about as heroic as cutting off your fucking dick saying you're a woman. Same shit. It's all by design. All by design. It's designed for cover. It's designed for excuses. And that is why they keep on bringing this stuff forward. We got a whistleblower. We got a whistleblower. You have a fucking whistleblower because they allowed a whistleblower and they want to change the direction the wind blows. There you go. Both sides are fucking crooked. This is just it. You just got to understand this. People get pissed at me. I cuss. I cuss because I am so frustrated with us losing our country and the stuff that we think is important and we scream about and we look at or whatever, right? And it's trash. But I'm going to give you more trash. Let me give you a couple more pieces.
The fact that Ghislaine Maxwell was at her daughter's wedding, and her story now is, oh, she was a plus one. Well, who was she the plus one with as the pimp in chief for Jeffrey Epstein?
You're gonna have photos circulating. You can do this right now. If you're on X right now, you can put in Hillary plus Epstein right now. Click on the media tab. You're going to see all these fucking photos of Bill and Epstein and Hillary and all this other stuff. And people go, fuck, we caught him. Because we don't look. I watched one person that follows me go, there's photos of Hillary and Epstein. And all they did was share it. Look, they got her. There's photos. But they never looked at the photos because they didn't pay attention. Number one, the photos are all AI. They have dead people wrapped up in shrouds in the background. Hillary and all these guys are wearing red robes. It's all fucking AI. But the system got flooded with AI photos. That's the very first thing that happened. Photo after photo after photo after photo after photo after photo after photo. All faked. Now, here's what happens. Because nobody pays attention and looks at them, they turn around and they amplify those photos. There's fucking evidence because you're emotional. You're angry. You're pissed. Now, what happened? You, a person with a great reputation, fucking put out an AI photo. They're going to let this operation run for a week. They're going to let this operation run for a week. And then any photo coming out, they're just going to automatically now tag it. That's quite possibly AI. And you just diminished all the evidence. Because why? You're upset. You're emotional. You're not looking. Boom, there's the proof. And you didn't even look at yourself. Do you understand how that con works? I'll show you the pictures in a minute. Do you understand how that con works? Number one, it tricked you. It destroyed your credibility because you didn't check. You amplify it. People believe it. They keep amplifying it. We all fucking look like a bunch of fucking idiots. And the left gets to say, well, that's AI. They're all AI. We do their dirty work for them. Fucking A, we do their dirty work for them. I'll show you the pictures, but let's go.
The fact that Ghislaine Maxwell was at her daughter's wedding, and her story now is, oh, she was a plus one. Well, who was she the plus one with as the pimp in chief for Jeffrey Epstein? And the alleged 13-year-old girl, her entire testimony was discounted by the FBI after investigation. because it supposedly happened again when she was 13 or 15 at Hilton Head Island with no evidence whatsoever to back up her claims, and she was determined to be really kind of off mentally. So again, the left keeps wanting to throw Bill Clinton aside while focusing on Donald Trump. It was Jeffrey Epstein who went to the White House 17 times, with Hillary always out of town. Bill and Hillary went to the Zorro Ranch multiple times, and she never met Jeffrey Epstein there. There are pictures of her with Jeffrey Epstein while she claims, both in apparently her sworn testimony and afterwards, she never met the man. So are we supposed to believe our lying eyes or Hillary Clinton?
I guess the difference is she's saying, I don't remember meeting him. Maybe that's one of those small legalese phrases, which means that she gets off swinging off a massive giant hook. Steve, do you think there's been any justice served for the victims of this?
But so many of these people who write these long books detailing their time in office or as a camp, they can remember everything when they're writing a book. But when it's a tough question, I can't remember ever meeting the man. And her statement afterwards, and her lawyer's statement, was definitive. I never met the guy. That's not true.
Let me show you just for a minute. And I'm going to show you a few of these because they're circulating. And he used to work with Hillary Clinton, and he's saying, yes, there are photos existing. He's never done that interview before. Let me put that for you together. He used to work for the Clintons. He's now coming out saying there are photos of them. Now, if he's really worried, wouldn't he be worried about getting Hillaried? But why does he do it? Because he wants you to believe there are photos out there. He adds credibility to the story. He pops up. He kind of pops up. But he's a Clintonite. He pops up, and all of a sudden, yeah, there's fucking photos everywhere. I've seen them all. It's like, oh my God. I watched every one of them. They're there. Once you go down the rabbit hole, you can see all of this. And there's just total proof that all of this happened. For God's sakes, think about it, folks. If they weren't diddling each other, why do we have photos of them together in the bed diddling each other? And you never think about it. You never think about it. You never think about what's really going on. You never think about what you're really seeing. And you share photos. And you share these photos. And every one of these are AI. And that's what the system wants you to do. Because, see, you're participating in exactly what they want you to do. Get consumed in fucking photos, get indignant, and get pissed. Well, I got to tell you, I took that photo. But at least it was right. Bill was never in bed with Hillary, so that's how I know it was a fake. But there you go. You just have to understand how this game is played, okay? But let's hear from Hillary, and then I'm going to drop a bomb on you.
Good evening. Well, I have just finished testifying. I answered every one of their questions as fully as I could, based on what I knew, and what I knew is what I said in my statement this morning. I never met Jeffrey Epstein, never had any connection or communication with him. I knew Ghislaine Maxwell casually as an acquaintance, but whatever they asked me, I did my very best to respond. It was disappointing that they refused to hold a public hearing, so I wouldn't have to be out here characterizing it for you. You could have seen it for yourself. We had asked for that. We think it would have been better for the committee and its efforts to gather whatever information they are seeking. We had a bit of a challenge in the beginning because we had agreed upon rules based on the fact it was going to be a closed hearing at their demand, and one of the members violated that rule, which was very upsetting because it suggested that they might violate other of our agreements. So we had to cease the hearing for a period of time until we could get...
I just have to stop. Hillary's first excuse of not to show up is because this is all political theater orchestrated by the Republicans just to be political theater. What did it turn into? Political theater, quote unquote, by the Republicans releasing a photo. Do you see how it makes the right look bad? It's all fucking orchestrated.
I know. Good evening. Well, I have just finished testifying. I answered every one of their questions as fully as I could, based on what I knew, and what I knew is what I said in my statement this morning. I never met Jeffrey Epstein, never had any connection or communication with him. I knew Ghislaine Maxwell casually as an acquaintance. But whatever they asked me, I did my very best to respond. It was disappointing that they refused to hold a public hearing, so I wouldn't have to be out here characterizing it for you. You could have seen it for yourself. We had asked for that. We think it would have been better for the committee and its efforts to gather whatever information they are seeking. We had a bit of a challenge in the beginning because we had agreed upon rules based on the fact it was going to be a closed hearing at their demand, and one of the members violated that rule, which was very upsetting because it suggested that they might violate other of our agreements. So we had to cease the hearing for a period of time until we could get assurances that no rules would be broken going forward, and we returned to answer questions repetitively, literally over and over again. I don't know how many times I had to say I did not know Jeffrey Epstein. I never went to his island. I never went to his homes. I never went to his offices. So it's on the record numerous times. It then got, at the end, quite unusual because I started being asked about UFOs and a series of questions about Pizzagate, one of the most vile, bogus conspiracy theories that was propagated on the internet, that was serving as the basis of a member's questions to me. So I can only say that the best exchange that I had came at the very end, when, contrary to every other deposition they have taken, no Republican member asked any questions about Jeffrey Epstein or Ghislaine Maxwell to anyone else they have deposed. And in fact, the Republican members didn't even show up for the deposition of Les Wexner. And when I said that, I had to point out that the only questions that any Republican member asked of any of the people they deposed was of former Attorney General Bill Barr, when Chairman Comer asked him about the allegations, in his view, about Russia's involvement in my election in 2016. So at the very end of this hearing, after I made that point, I want to commend Chairman Comer for raising a series of significant questions that I responded to about the nature of the investigation and the areas that I thought should be explored. So I appreciated that. I want to see the truth come out. So that was a reassuring way to end a very long, repetitive deposition.
Let me tie some of this together for you. I'll go back. She mentioned Barr. She mentioned she got asked. They wanted to know the details of the Russian interference in her election in 2016. They allowed that con to come back in. She answered it as if it was true. Brought it back up, revived it all. Why would anybody ask Hillary about UFOs? Do you know the answer to that? Why would anybody ask Hillary in a meeting like that with Hillary about UFOs? Why would that question be asked? Put it in chat. Why would that question be asked? So Hillary can get out there and say, they fucking asked me about UFOs and Pizzagate. It is all a game. Every bit of it. The players she mentioned, Barr, an asset of hers, right? Well, and they kind of drop names and they sizzle these in. Well, even the chairman asked me a question. And one thing he asked me is, more details about how Russia hacked my election. Every bit of this is political theater. Political theater at the expense of our country, which you fucking willing participate in. You participate in. And this is what gets me. Because, see, you easily fall for it if you stay only on the emotional side and you do not ask for truth. And when you rely on somebody, well, I like them. They got a cross on the outside of their shirt. That means you can't lie. Therefore, they always tell the truth. And then you share shit like this. Let me get this straight. At an underground fucking bunker with devil-headed goats, dead fucking bodies, people wearing robes, they're taking a fucking selfie. And you share it, saying, she's lying, there's proof all over the place. And you share it. And what you did is you gave traction to them to say it's all AI fucking generated images. None of these images are real. And you fucking kill it for other people because you can't control yourself doing it. They move us and manipulate us like fucking puppets. AI's gotten so far, you even think this is fucking real. It's not. You don't even know how to look for the hidden watermark in it. You don't. You don't even know what site to check to see if it's AI. But you say it's there. We all know they were there. There are parties. Fucking A. We caught them hands down. Now, when you believe the photos and you're pissed and you say, but we got evidence, we caught them hands down, what happens? You get more pissed. And what happens? You stay in that emotional, disfocused, disheveled fucking mode. You operate at that level. And because you operate at that level, you can't see clearly what's going on. Now I'm going to share with you clearly what's going on. I want you to completely understand how this works. When it comes to elections, and I do this in the election stuff, I keep on telling you about it. Have I always taught you it's about the words? Have I always taught you it's about the words? You've got to understand the words. That's why William Barr can say there was not enough material evidence to make a difference in the outcome of the election. Which to people sounds like, well, we didn't find anything. It was crap. We do this to ourselves because we don't take time to understand. Right? We do this to ourselves. It's how a president can get off by saying, I did not have sexual relations with that woman. Who the fucking calls it sexual relations? Hey, Monica, get over here, intern. I've been looking at you all day. I just wanted to let you know I want to have sexual relations with you. Nobody talks like that, but you got to understand the words. So in this game, here's what's going on. Hillary's transcripts, none of this is supposed to be recorded, although Benny's saying it's recorded, and Benny, Bo, Ben, Bo. Anyway, says it's recorded, does all of this. So here's what happened. In any of these, and I've told you this before, okay? Inside the chamber, if you lie, it is a crime against the government. You got it? Come outside that door, stand across that threshold. You can say, just like Shifty Schiff, we got all this evidence of Trump and Russians and money and whatever. We got it all. Now, you hear certain things. Both sides hear certain things. You don't understand the rules and that line of a threshold. If he says that inside, they do that inside, they're going to prison. Say it outside, all games off, they can say what they want. So Hillary can say anything she wants before she goes in. She can say anything she wants when she comes out. So what really matters is what happens behind closed doors. Behind closed doors. Anyway, okay. So on her testimony that happened, here's what we know was said. She says she had no knowledge of Jeffrey Epstein's and Ghislaine Maxwell's crimes. She had no knowledge of Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, we'll just call her Giz for short, crimes. Okay? So I'm going to put that on the screen, and I'm going to show you how this works. Is that okay? There we go. She had no knowledge of Jeffrey Epstein or Ghislaine Maxwell's crimes. What does that mean? What does that mean? Knowledge in the courts under oath literally means direct knowledge. Not knowledge how you use the word knowledge in your life, but direct knowledge. Right? Secondly, for something to be a crime, it must be adjudicated as a crime. So, did Hillary at any time sit down with Epstein or Giz Guzzler or any of them combined when they were in fact convicted by a crime by which Hillary knew they had committed a crime? Do you think that happened? Did Hillary watch any of them diddle a kid? Well, she wasn't there. Do you understand how these words work? Now that in legalese is an accurate 100% non-prosecutable statement. non-prosecutable. Okay? Get it? You got to understand how it works. Here you go. I had no idea about their criminal activities. What's the definition of that? Two things. The fact, has it been adjudicated criminal? Second, it's plural, not singular. So, would Hillary, if in fact Epstein and Guzzler were a big criminal enterprise, would she know about, meaning the intricate workings, would she know about their criminal plural enterprises? Does she have any plausible reason to know about their criminal enterprises and acts? Not at all. And by the way, you can't prove it. How would you prove it? How would you prove it? Okay. Now, in this particular questioning, there's an interesting idiosyncrasy, which is 100% a legal maneuver. I do not, this is the number one thing she said, I do not recall. Her statement here is, I do not recall ever encountering Mr. Epstein. What is the definition of an encounter? It's broad. Meeting is a different definition. Encountering is something different. Oh yeah, I met Jeffrey. Oh yeah, I encountered Jeffrey Epstein. See, it's a once removed word. Now, why do you get answered by that? Why do you do that? She also said she was horrified when she learned about their crimes. Right? Okay. Here is the legalese that you need to understand of what truly happened yesterday. And this is how the game is played. She sits there and they say, do you, what's the word we're looking for? Do you, did you know about Epstein's and Giselle's criminal enterprise? And she says no. Now, in legal terms, that's called absolute denial. Absolute denial. Okay? Now, if anything comes forward to the contrary, okay, to the contrary of that, it is a crime. In that room, it is a crime. But what did she say? I don't recall. Now, that in legal speak is called a memory-based denial. A memory-based denial, you cannot prove the event happened, and you cannot prove the witness actually remembered it, because what it does is it pushes back. Well, you have to prove now she intentionally did not remember it. So absolute denial actually creates what's called criminal liability. Where they need to put it in terms is they've got to move it what's called beyond criminal liability. So this is why what you see, and this is how they ride this line between knowingly and unknowingly. See, they're technically under oath. You make false statement, and it's proved otherwise. It's so very as to prove you knew. So under the federal statements law, material false statements are criminal even outside oath settings, when it comes to have to do with federal matters, including and specifically congressional investigations. And that's what this was. So what you have to prevent and what you have to know to prevent is basically never present the absolute denial. Because if they have records or they have witnesses or they have photos or they have logs or emails that the event happened, that means it's easily contradicted. In other words, you're nailed. Okay? Now, the reason you don't make a factual statement is because the factual statement is very hard to back off after you've made it. Because by default, you're basically, you're confirming knowledge and you're confirming intent. Yes, I did. You're confirming knowledge, you're confirming intent. Okay? So it's very hard to walk back otherwise in the court. So what you have to do is you have to pivot. You got to be very careful how this is done. And you have to, understanding the implications, if you think there is evidence to prove it, and this is how you should read it. Because I told you, this was an admission. You just don't understand how to read it legally. You think it was still her up there doing yada, 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 nothing. If you watch how she answered it, she answered the question second. She presented her present memory state first. She answered the statement second. She presented her present memory state first. And the way you do this is, I do not recall. Now, what this does is this, in legal terms, it's what's called, it changes the proof problem, right? Therefore, if it ever comes out later, instead of proving it happened, which of course you get evidence it happened, here you go. The government must now prove that this person, get ready, actually remembered it at the time of testimony, but chose to lie. Now, how do you prove somebody actually remembered it at that time? You got a solution? How do you prove anybody at that time actually remembered it and lied? You can't. You can't. And if you don't understand this, you get frustrated and get pissed off. You get pissed off, they fucking let her off the hook. No, you're now the smartest patriot in the room. You actually know what she admitted to and she's worried about. You see the difference? Knowledge makes the difference. You see all of this as a shit show. You see all of it as political theater, and it is, but it still has rules. It still has rules. And if you understand the rules, you understand she covered her ass in a way that the things she knows about comes out. She's not on the hook because there's no way they can really prove her prior knowledge. There's no way to prove she actually remembered it at the time of testimony. Right? And the government, under its rules, must prove that at that moment in time, they actually remembered. It is an admission of guilt in a way that allows them to deflect, but not be criminally culpable. It is called fundamental ambiguity. And this is how they use it. Fundamental ambiguity. And that's what every one of these people are taught. This is how it works. Now, on our side, it keeps you perpetually frustrated. It gets you pissed. It gets you angry, which is what I think they want to do. But in politics, it's a little bit. It's kind of like plausible deniability. You're right. Plausible deniability is once removed away by sending the email to somebody else, you really didn't send it to the congressperson. That's plausible deniability, right? But in this ambiguity, right, issue, that's what they're creating. It's called fundamental ambiguity. It's just not clear, right? If you don't understand all of this, and this is why, I get a hard time. Everybody says their shows are too long. They should be 2 minutes. That's what the federal fucking government wants. Well, why can't you do 90-second clips on this? That's what they want. Because you'll still end up being a fucking idiot on the facts. That's not what I do. My job is to make you the smartest patriot in the room. You have to understand, because here you go. Chapstick's got it right. This is not a fucking game. This is not a game. This is not social media fodder. This is not a commercial. This is not a promotional video. It is fucking war. And if you can't get engaged, sit on the fucking sidelines in totality or go register as a Democrat and at least do it ethically, honestly, and screwing your country. When you share these bullshit AI photos, which helps their case, why don't you just go register as a Democrat? Because you don't have what it takes to save our country. You don't have the mental acuity to understand we are at war. And you, whether you like it or not, are drafted into this war. It's just like this election integrity stuff. We know the rat bastard stole the election, yaka, 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 yaka. Well, you know it. But then you also know anything doing with the machines is voluntary, can never be enforced. But you're so emotional and pissed, even though you know that fact, it is unenforceable by law. Everything that comes out talking about the election was rigged with the machines, you fucking share. Because you're acting emotionally. Everybody already knows the election was bullshit. You don't have to share videos. We got them all. We're going to melt them all down to prison bars. You don't have to share that shit to prove that point anymore. You got to pivot and we got to play to win. And everything on the machines is voluntary. We'll never win. Look at what Fulton County, Georgia is freaking out about. The very boxes that are missing that have the physical ballots. They never freak out about the machines. They hope you stay on the machines. You're trained on the machines. But every time you lift your finger and you keep on sharing that stuff, you keep on sharing that shit because you're pissed and emotional about elections. You just want people to get pissed and emotional like you, but you share the cover story, which assures it will never be solved. And you can't see that because you're emotional. And so it doesn't matter what comes along, you just keep on sharing it because, well, yeah, it was election stolen, it was stolen. That's all you get. When you read it, it says the machine swapped it and they swapped 9,000 votes and here's that. They inserted 100,000 votes and it's all a lie. It's a lie. It's a lie. But because you're emotional, you keep on sharing it. You keep on amplifying it. It is you that keeps it alive. All these guys with the machines in elections, because this is all about elections. And you now know, according to the Election Assistance Commission, that every fucking rule on the machines is 100% voluntary. Means no enforcement. I've taught you that. But every time you keep on sharing that shit, you're doing their dirty work. And you can't control yourself. You know why you can't control yourself even when you know the difference? Because you're pissed. And in your pissed off dumb, you can't focus on winning. You just want, well, people need to know it was rigged. You don't care about people don't need to know it was rigged by thinking, oh, I saw it on television. They swapped the votes and there's the proof. You're playing for their side and you don't even know it. And you don't have the willpower and the intellectual honesty to get out of that highly charged emotional mode. And by the way, I can be highly charged and right on focus. I've managed the two lines. But I also understand, right? Also understand, okay, here's what's going on. Now, you may naturally ask, well, other people are still saying it's Serbian, whatever. For me, that's a simple one. What's that person's intent? What's my intent? To fix this shit. What's my ethic? I won't bend. What's my game plan? Must be convictable, prosecutable evidence. Other people do things for, right? Other people do things for points, for image, for clicks, for shares. I don't do anything for that. My intent is to win with prosecutable evidence to save the United States of America, because there is only save America or America's dead, and that's all there is. That is my intent. You don't have to, there it is. That's my intent. Now, you're pissed off about Epstein. But you know what happened here? Don't you understand? The moment the raids start in Fulton and it triggers in Maricopa, what built up consecutive with it? The release of the list that was bullshit that I showed you of Epstein. Which one are more people talking about? Epstein. See, they gave you a choice. And people inherently go with the most emotional ones. See, if your kids are at home and you have young ones and grandbabies and you're taking care of them, you're fine. Let me say that again. If your young children, grandbabies, great-grandbabies, you know where they are at home, they are taken care of, and they have good parents, you are okay and fighting this war. Let me say that again. If your children and your grandchildren and your great-grandchildren are in a parental home with parents, your kids, grandparents, and the whole bit, right? Right? And you're aware they're taken care of. Now, let me play something else for you. Let's say you have a 14-year-old daughter. She's not kidnapped. None of the Epstein girls claim they were kidnapped. You have a 14-year-old daughter, 15-year-old daughter, 16-year-old daughter, 17-year-old daughter. And she flies to Epstein Island for a week's vacation. Whose fucking fault is it? You have a 14, 15, 16, 17-year-old daughter, granddaughter, great-granddaughter, and she takes a vacation with a multimillionaire on an island in the Caribbean for a week. Whose fault is it? The fucking parents. So who should you really be pissed about? You're pissed about Epstein, and here's a 16-year-old girl on his lap, but you're not thinking about what enabled that. The system and parents. And long before that girl got on a jet, those parents made it okay to get on the fucking jet. But see, no matter how disgusting it is, the system allows you to misplace your disgust, your anger, and all of that. And in that disgust, you can't focus on what's really real. Back it up and undo it, just like USAID and money, and you really find out where it is, and you realize the fucking system's broken. There's only way to fix it, and that's fixing our fucking elections. We have no parental supervision. You know why we have no parental supervision? My family, my sister, grandbabies, her daughters and kids are going through this right now. The girls, tall, beautiful girls, play sports, and they're all running around. Non-stop every day. One sport to this activity, to this activity. You know what happens? It wears the parents out. You also know what else happens? The parents can't be at every place at every time. So what happens? Since the parent is worn out, because you've been told they got to be in all these fucking sports. That's it. It's academics. What they get, whatever. And they got to be in fucking everything. You get worn out. So you take the most precious cargo you have and you rely on friends. Hey, can you pick them up? Can you shuttle them here? And sometimes that gets moved a little further down the line. Is anybody going to watch your children as tight as you? No. Can it be missed? Yes. And so what you don't understand is the system, the break in the system comes directly between when we didn't have all these activity fucking clubs we had to go to, and we were at home and we were in our yards and our front yards with friends doing shit and being safe. And they convinced us, no, it's a better life. They got to be in everything. It makes them more valuable for what? College. And you bought into, they got to have all these extracurricular activities because it makes them more attractive to colleges. And what you did? You pawned off your kids. You fucking wore them out. You wore you out. You wore them out. You can't pay attention to anything because you're running your ass off just trying to manage it all. You have to rely on more and more people to manage your own children. That's the key. You rely on more and more and more people that are not you to take care of and manage your own child. Therefore, we did this. It's very good to be pissed at fucking Epstein and Hillary and Bill and Stephen Hawkins and Jay-Z and Diddy. Pull a fucking mirror up and ask, how do we fix this? It all is us. The system sold us a lifestyle. Just like rappers and shit sell kids a lifestyle. And you got these little kids that think it's chains and looks and dress, fucking talking ass stupid. It's a sales job. It's a sales job. And every bit of it comes back to us, the parents. Every bit of it. Now, the last part of the gig they do. See, you don't ask the right questions. You only see Stephen Hawkins went to Epstein Island. Stephen Hawkins was on Epstein's jet. So now what you have is, I can't trust anybody and it's all shit. You know what the real story behind a lot of this is? Jeffrey Epstein and all the high net worth circles put out the word, if you ever need a jet and you don't think you can get one quick enough, let me know. You can use mine. What was that? Put it in your terms. A billionaire puts out, I got my jet. If you're ever in a tight bind, you got to go somewhere real quick. Don't worry about it. Call up, show up. You can use my jet. Now, the question is, would you use it? Hey, we all go to the Super Bowl. Hey, Jeffrey said we could use the jet. Well, 5 or 6 of us, let's go. Now, are your friends kind of the friends like you? Yeah. What happens when you get on the jet? What happens when you get on the jet? You sign in, the flight log, they got your information. Did you fly with Epstein? Did you diddle a kid on the jet, or did you just use the jet? You fly. The other hook of it is a jet right now, any jet at any point in time, just to fuel up, is going to be about $35,000. Imagine filling your fuel tank and it's $35,000 to fill up. And it can be as much, depending upon the jet you have, about $30,000 per flight hour. Per flying time hour. Okay? Now, in the world of ultra high net worth individuals, you're always going to be paying for your jet. But most people don't remember, you're not just paying for your jet, you're paying your hangar fees, you're paying your pilots, because most of them have full-time pilots. And so if you put the word out to 5013Cs, charities, hey, if you need to use my jet, here it is. I'm going to let you use my jet. You're not going to pay me any cash. You're just going to give me back a contribution certificate for $150,000. Now, no money changed hands, and it's perfectly legal. So the 5013C claims they used the jet, claims the cost was $150,000, but you allowed them not to pay for it because he's going to consider it a contribution. So he got no money back. He got this. Well, it probably only cost half that. And so he got double. It comes off his taxes, which is a way of getting that money back anyway. Will very large nonprofits, fancy hoodoo nonprofits that know all these people pop around and that's the one to use, maybe call in that favor? Yes, they will. What do they do when they get on the jet? Sign in. Does that mean that Jeffrey was on the jet and they fucked little kids over the ocean? Tell you a story. The year is 1998. Microsoft is, in my tech world of television, my single largest sponsor. Long ago, when Netscape was the number one browser, they had 97% of the marketplace. It was my little tech brain and tech training as a teacher teaching people and doing I was the first one to combine radio, television, and internet. It's the standard you see today that you can watch it over the internet, you can stream it, you can watch it on TV, etc. Oh, I was the very first person to do that ever. I taught TV, radio, and this thing called streaming, how to do it together. It was called a triple cast. I got the contract to introduce Internet Explorer, which back then most people called Internet Exploder. And I did this huge campaign with Microsoft to change that market. Business at the speed of thought. It's chapter 2. Bill Gates talks about the changeover with the then president, Mike Maples, who was my contact to figure this out. And I basically turned that market around in 60 days, and Netscape just went away and it was all IE. And that was before we all got Chrome. Now, why do I tell you that? Well, in that time, I'm doing a capital run for my technology, which is for scan to connect. You know, how you use Q codes and barcodes and you use your phone and scan. I wanted a few things. It hadn't come about in mobile phones yet, but it was coming. But the development arc was a little too far out. And Microsoft had a mobile scanner coming out. See the red light there? And I could teach that red light to also read it. So I could do it in your mouse. So you could have a cat in your mouse. And I wanted to get in their mouse, and we're doing it. So I have great connections in Microsoft. So we're trying to figure out the investment and everything else and what to do and whatever and whatever and whatever and whatever. Where was the deal done? Well, the deal was done because one of my advisors is Bill Gates's bridge ringer. Now, here's how it works. Let's say we're going to play a game of pickup basketball. It's me, but my team is Shaq and Dr. J. Well, see, those are my ringers. I just got to make sure they get the ball. They're fucking going to dominate everybody. Well, in the bridge world, the super high mega IQ bridge world, my friend's the ringer, the #1 world champion. And so the way the deals and introductions was done was me getting to Bill through him by getting on the jet while they're practicing their team bridge play while it's headed to Geneva for the bridge championship. Now, those kinds of things are done all the time based on who's got a jet going somewhere and, hey, I got to meet with you. I've done many meetings that couldn't fit into my schedule. Okay, here it is. Meet at the Tarback. You'll just ride in the helicopter with me in the city, or you'll just ride on the jet with me to X. You want to pay for the ticket? I got to be in Berlin. I'm only going there for a lunch. Buy the ticket next to me. We'll ride to Berlin together. And if there's something to do, we can do it. That happens all the time in the business world. It's just the way it's done. A lot of what you're seeing is because the names are so big, it is guilt by association and implication, and that is what's keeping so many people riled up. But yes, it can get you implicated. And that was part of the racket of all of that stuff. So many names could be implicated, it would never see the light of day. But what does it make the public believe? Evil elite Satanists, everybody, they're eating the kids. Now, what does that do for the CIA or agencies? Keeps you in fucking chaos and they move. I'm going to do another show to follow this up. But what if I told you, as every major dim left office, the new candidate to come in to be the dim candidate comes from where? Here's the question. Use Spanberger in Virginia. I mentioned it since I was right there yesterday. When Major Dim's timeout and the new dim replacement comes in that gets in the office, they all have one thing in common. Socialist Party? Nope. GOP? Nope. Almost all of them now, 50 of them, former CIA. Look up Spanberger. The people they're replacing that are timing out in the DIMS is how you get the most money, are being replaced almost exclusively with former CIA. The reason I tell you this is you have to know, you have to understand, you got to understand we are in a fucking war. You've got to take this seriously. You got to stop sharing shit. You got to get very focused on this. You got to stop sharing stupid ass stuff saying, well, this is proof. Look, you just got to stop it. You got to knock it off. We're in trouble if you don't. And you got to understand what we have to fight for to get this fixed. And we've got to stay on the side of evidence and proof. They cannot get around. That's why I showed you Hillary's testimony. There are rules. It's always about the words. It is why they push to machines, no enforcement, and they avoid like the plague and fight over it, the paper. Choose to be a warrior and fight for what's right. Share this program. Love you all.
Not fixing 2020 will damn our nation forever. The historic Maricopa County full forensic audit effort processed 20,895,610 digital and forensic images of varying formats, resulted in 208 million individual evidence-proof files. The system processed over 58 billion forensic measurements, resulting in over 2 trillion individual base computations. No hopium, no hype, just hardcore forensic evidence. Please make sure the Maricopa County Full Forensic Audit Archives survive. Donate now. So if you want what happened in the 2020 election fixed, then please donate to protect and secure this historic evidence. We can't do it without you. We need
fight for free and fair elections. Invent and scan the ballots of kinematic artifact detection. You love to read and learn, travel and explore. You're a fearless, braveheart patriot who's opened doors. You are courage, you're our voice. Jovan, we thank you for what you're fighting for. You're our warrior. You are brave like a lion. You're David fighting Goliath, couldn't ask for more. You're our warrior. Think of what you've done for you, for me, for our country. You'll go down in history as our warrior. You lead by God and always do what's right. In the battle for our nation, you lead the fight. We pray for your safety, the armor of God to protect you from all of us. Here's a thank you for all that you do. You are courage, you're our voice. Jovan, we thank you for what you're fighting for. You're our warrior. You are brave like a lion. You're David fighting Goliath, couldn't ask for more. You're our warrior. Think of what you've done for you, for me, for our country. You'll go down in history as our warrior. Jovan, you're a hero we stand behind. We're inspired by the fire inside your eyes. American proud, we know you'll fight till your dying day. And we'll always stand behind you through everything. You are courage, you're our voice. Jovan, we thank you for what you're fighting for. You're our warrior. You are brave like a lion. You're David fighting Goliath, couldn't ask for more. You're our warrior. Think of what you've done for you, for me, for our country. You'll go down in history as our warrior.